Hello and welcome to the Women Fantasy Authors YouTube channel. I'm your host, Janet Hinker, and my guest today is Shannon Huston. Hi, Shannon.
Hello.
It's so good to have you.
Yeah, thank
And
you for having me on.
yeah, um, I just finished reading Shannon's book, for the first book in the Dragon Kings, the Brides of Dragon Kings series. The title is A Curse of Scales and Feathers, and it has everything. It's got high adventure, romancy, uh, just everything that you would want in a great fantasy novel. So I'm really excited to be talking with you about that today. The story revolves around four dragon kings and a curse that controls their lives. So we need to start by finding out about the dragon kings and the curse.
Well, the curse came about. There's four Dragon Kings. They're all brothers. I think you mentioned that already. But they were just princes, and just the oldest was supposed to be the next king. And he was engaged to a water fae. Well, she things happen, and she ended up doing a curse on all of them. And so now they have to marry over and over again without ever being able to choose their bride. And if they don't marry, as long as the curse hasn't chosen their bride, and the curse is the one that chooses their bride for them. If the curse has not chosen a bride, that means they can kind of escape the curse for a little bit. But if they stay away from people and never get a bride chosen for them, they turn into their full form of a dragon, which is the oldest brother who was engaged. He's never followed the curse, and so he's just a dragon all the time. So the other three brothers, they're trying to follow the curse and stuff, because even if the curse does choose bride and they don't marry the bride within a lunar cycle, they die. So
Yeah, I mean it's grim. It's
yeah.
grim, and we learn a lot of this in the very beginning of the story. And early on, we meet a character called Arian, and Lord Galton, who's not a terribly nice guy, wants to marry her, and he sees her as something special. She's not, I don't think, completely sure about who she is and what kind of special power she has. So tell us a little about Arian and why Lord Galton wants to marry her.
I don't know if I might. I don't know
Yeah,
how much will be
yeah,
spoilers,
I
but
know. No, well, without spoilers, at least we
so
know. Yeah,
yeah.
he's powerful and he wants her.
And
Okay.
he has knowledge that you don't know until the end of the book, that he's had this knowledge of who she possibly is. But she just, she has a human mother and a sister, and she just thinks she's human, and nothing. But her skin tone and hair color is outside the norm for humans. And she just assumes that she was told it was by they had, someone, an ancestor that was probably a fae or whatnot, who influenced the hair color and stuff. But it's done nothing but cause her trouble, because her mom thinks she's, different and beats her for it, and then everybody else makes fun of her for it. So
Yeah, she really is treated as other for
yeah.
looking different and I'm not fitting into society. So that's a really important point that we follow through the whole story, is sort of discovering what that means and who she really is. Um, Now she refuses to marry the Lord, and she is sent away as the dragon's tribute. And she arrives at Calden's court, he's the ice dragon, or the king that is the ice dragon, I believe. And she thinks she might be just sacrificed to the dragon. She doesn't know what's going on. So, what is Calden's offer to her, and what is a bride by chance?
So the bride by chance is just the brothers, simply they're not allowed to choose their own bride. And if they're around women, and it is male female romance in these stories. So if they're around women, then the curse will choose one of the women that are there, and especially if it's not one that they want. So it's a bride by chance. They never get to choose who they want to. And you don't really see this as much, that kind of like whether they want a bride or not, until the second book, because the second
Okay.
brother, he puts himself out there with a whole bunch of women and lets the curse tell him which one he's supposed to marry. So where Calden secludes himself. So
Yes, Calden's been very resistant, and I get we get through the as the story unfolds how he's been so traumatized and brokenhearted about having these women come through his lives and having them die and losing a brides again and again because he's not marrying. He can't marry for love. He has to have this person presented for him and take her on. Um, so why does he finally feel compelled to persist in pursuing Ariana to marry him? what he meets her, and well, tell us a little bit about what it's like when they first meet and how that's going when he first meets her.
Well, it's not so good because
Yeah.
he actually has gone 20 years of secluding himself, so he's not been around any women for the curse to choose for him to marry. And because he has been away, his land is starting to ice over and become snow and everything. And his brothers tell him basically, you have to get out back out there. You know, you're killing all the humans. And dragons were created with by the gods for the purpose of protecting humans because they're the only creature that was born without magic. So they come of magical lines when they mix, but they eventually have no magic themselves, and so they're very
Okay.
defenseless in this world that has lots of magic. So he's supposed to be protecting these humans who are dying. So when he decides, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and let the curse choose my next bride for me, then he's like, I'm closing myself off. I'm going to have a, you know, I'm not going to allow myself to love her because he easily falls in love with all of his wives.
Yeah.
And of course, she's in the position where she was supposed to have been a slave to Lord Galton because she took her sister's place who stole a flower from his garden. This kind of comes from the Beauty and the Beast story a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so she took her sister's place, but then since she was given up as a tribute to the dragon, she's worried that now her sister, who's only like 9 years old, is now going to be a slave at this place, and so all she wants to do is get away and get out and go save her sister. So that's her main objective. So it's
Yeah.
not they don't they don't communicate very well in the beginning. So
Yeah. Well, go back a little bit to that Beauty and the Beast, Colonel,
yeah.
because when we meet Calden, we realize that he's different. He's shrouding. Tell us kind of what he looks like, because this isn't really a spoiler. We learn about how he's presented in the beginning of the story. So talk a little bit about what she sees when she meets him, how he's presenting himself.
Yeah, so he looks like a hunchback to her. So, which some people kind of said, oh, it's kind of like Hunchback of Notre Dame kind
Yeah.
of feel because
Yeah.
he does wear a mask to cover himself. And that's because he's gone 20 years without a bride. He's slowly turning back into a dragon where he cannot shift back at all. So, and if he continued going, he would be like his oldest brother, who's always a dragon and can never shift into a human form. So, yeah, so he's got parts of the dragon coming out. So he's got these big lumps on his back and everything from parts of the dragon wing and his, you know, all the different parts, and he's got scales all on. So he always stays cloaked and has the mask on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I said at the beginning that this is, you even call it romancy, correct? When you're
Yeah,
talking about the book.
yeah.
And honestly, I didn't really see it until quite a ways into the book because the two characters were in such conflict. They didn't appear to like each other. Ariana is being resistant. Calden is being resistant. So we watch this very, very, very slow, long burn, if you want to call it that, as they start to realize that they're somewhat interested in each other. I like that part of the story, of them unfolding. They're liking it at first. They're kind of liking and respecting of each other. So, what happens to Ariana that opens up for her to be open to Calden? Why is she finally starting to find him a bit interesting and possibly attractive, even though he appears kind of like a monster?
Well, it's kind of a two-prong approach on that one. So what she finds that she likes about him is that when she starts pointing out the issues in his kingdom, he listens and he strives to make it better. And then the other part of like, why is she attracted to him or whatever? I think that part is opened up because for once in her life, she's in a place where she's not being constantly being beat down, both physically, mentally, emotionally. And so she's in a place that's actually safe for the first time of her life. And so she's allowed to feel other things besides just trying to stay safe.
Yeah, 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 and we see that unfolding really slowly. Those hints. Going back to Calden, he has an aide or I don't know whether it's his
A steward,
right hand man or right, excuse me, his right hand person, but Bryn, who's a
Bryn.
fae. So
Yeah.
tell us a little about who she is and how she supports Calden.
So all the dragon princesses, the course of the four brothers, they all were given like a nanny, sorry, a nanny when they were growing up because their parents were the rulers of this entire land, and she was Calden's nanny. And none of the other nannies survived. The only reason why she survived when the curse happened, because the curse killed like almost everybody that was there. And the only reason why she survives because she was actually off the continent at the time the curse happened. So she was able to come back. She is actually a mixed fae, so she has sun fae and fire fae, which actually does not make her stronger. She can access both magics, but accessing either magic draws on her own energy source, versus fae who are full-blooded fae, they can pull elements from the environment and not pull on their own energy. So essentially, if she uses magic, she's killing herself slowly. So but she's very strong, and she was his nanny. Of course, he doesn't need a nanny anymore, but so now she's the steward of the castle.
Okay, that's the whole story, and that brings up the whole question of your magical system that you developed and all the different types. We meet quite a few different types of fays that are either full blood or mixed. So tell me a little bit about your process in terms of coming up with this magical system with all these components, including the four dragon kings and the fae in your kingdom.
Yeah. So when I was first developing the magic system, a lot of magic systems and books will be like if they're and I'm using elementals. So elemental magic tends to be like four magics, like the Avatar, the Last Airbender, or they'll have like five, where you actually have like spirit or ether or something like that will be the fifth one. But then you also have like the Chinese elemental system, which I think has six. I can't remember. I did some research into a bunch of different elemental magic systems through
Yeah.
the world. And here's something you may not know about me, Janet, even though we've known each other for a few years.
Yeah.
I don't like odd numbers. Um,
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, so I was like, I can't. It's seven elements tended to be pretty popular too. So you have 5 and 7. I want to do more than 4. And I was like, but I don't like any of those. So I'm going to do 8. And so I had to figure out what exactly my 8 were going to be.
That's why it sort of grew beyond itself. And
Yes.
I think you've put out some very complete descriptions about the dragons and magic systems on your website, I believe, and we'll share that information, a link with that to your website in a little bit, so people, if they're intrigued about your magic system, especially now or when they're reading the book, then they can get more information because it's detailed. It's really interesting and it's really detailed.
I actually don't have it on my website yet.
Oh,
I do want to, but I've put a lot out in my
okay.
newsletter. So that might be what
Okay.
you read.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So you need to go to Shannon's website and sign up for her newsletter because she sends out all this great stuff. So yeah, do that.
And
Okay.
Dragons. There's 4 main dragons, because you asked me about the dragons too. So the 4 main dragons, it was the 8 gods coming together to pair off and make a dragon together. And
Oh,
so
okay.
ice dragons are water and air.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and they're from different seasons. I also split up my 8 elements into seasons. So with
Yeah.
the seasons, you have 2 elements per season.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to say about, I mean, we meet Ariana early on, and we see that she's very strong and strong-willed, and she's saving her sister and all of that. But when we meet Calden, we don't know. I mean, it's really hard to understand who he is when we first meet him because he's so beaten down and guarded. So one of the most endearing things about not only his character but the story arc is seeing him facing all of his weaknesses and acknowledging the things that he did wrong or could have done better or he should have done. And so he kind of is getting to know himself as we're meeting him, which to me was very, very endearing. I think it makes him a really strong character because of that. I mean, did you have him fully in mind before you started writing, or did he evolve? Did he come out as you wrote?
No, like him, I had a really good grasp of. It was Ari who I didn't really understand as well when I start writing. So like I knew exactly how he would respond in every situation, and I knew that she was going
Okay.
to hold him accountable, but I didn't exactly know how that would come about.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Wow. I mean, I'm personally, I'm a pantser, so I don't ever know. I just kind of go by the fly. But with all the magical system that you created, you did this before you wrote the book, right? To create all the different levels of magic and whatnot.
So
Or did it? No.
I'm a bit of a discovery pantser writer,
Oh, okay.
intuitive writer as well.
Okay.
I did write down, like I have a notebook, and I don't. Oh, it's right here. So in the beginning, I wrote down just some things in a notebook. I've now actually started adding tabs because I write things down so often, like
Ah.
in order. but like I just wrote my world, and I just start writing different things like what it could be, and then people and names, because all my names mean something.
Wow. Okay.
So they were just ideas that I had, and I knew I wanted the 8 elements, but I didn't really know what all of that looked like until I was starting
Wow.
to write it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's going to be really fun to see to read the rest of the series and see how this all folds out. I'm going to share your information here so people can see what your web page is and how to get a hold of you. And there was one other thing I wanted to ask you about the story that had to do with the Fae. Uh, were they actually enslaved, or
Not the
some of
Fae, so
not the
the
go ahead.
humans. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened with that? I mean,
Um, Well, I mean, the Fae, when the humans start coming about, many of them and they all have like slightly different variations of how they deal with humans, and many of them have enslaved the humans over time. And then with the dragons being created, dragons start trying to help the humans get out from under enslavement. And in the case of this book, it's humans enslaving humans. So
okay,
that's where
right. That
Calden
was
is stuck. Is Calden cannot physically hurt another human. So he can't make
right.
humans stop enslaving humans because he can't physically do anything to him.
Right. That was one of the themes that popped up because that's what the Lord was doing, was enslaving people, and it was making a really bad situation for the people of the kingdom. Okay, I just wanted to get all that clear.
Yeah.
Um uh this this book had me I didn't know what was going to happen until the very last page. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat until almost the very last page. And when you read it, you'll understand why I'm saying that. I'm really ready for the rest of the series. So tell us when the next book's going to be out and what else you're working on.
Yeah, so a Curse of Wings and Gems is the second book, and these are all standalone. The first 3 books are standalone. They're actually non-linear, so they all happen at the same time. And you have the 3 brothers who continuously contact each other through magic mirrors. So you have
Oh,
conversations that
yes.
go across all 3 books.
I
And in
love it.
each book will have like a new conversation that you didn't see in a previous book that the brothers had, but it did happen because they're all
Yeah.
happening at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
so the second book is the second brother, and that is A Curse of Wings and Gems. And I know I have that behind me, but um, I already did the Kickstarter for it. So
Oh, yes.
right. So I did that earlier. So it is going to be published. Now this has got the color pages on the end. That was for my Kickstarter. So you can't,
Oh,
I'm not
nice.
telling
Oh,
you
look
that
at
one.
that.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
look at that. Oh, nice cover, Shannon. Very nice.
I actually did the dragon, from the head up. I did the dragon because I didn't like
Excellent.
the dragon on the other cover as well.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so
You're very, very talented, very, very talented as an artist and a writer. I want to encourage all of you to check out this series because it's
January
really,
20th,
really
sorry.
fabulous. You've also written another series. What was your previous work? Your previous
Oh,
series?
the previous one that was strictly fantasy. Oh, and by the way, that was January 20th is when that's coming out. I kept forgetting to say the date. So January
Okay.
20th is when that's coming out. So the other one is the Clash of Goddesses series. It's based off of Irish
Yes.
mythologies, and it's set in 3rd century Ireland. And I really enjoyed writing that series, but I had decided to move into romantasy. And romantasy now is being defined as a book that is like it's as much fantasy as it is romance. And if you take out either one of them, the story doesn't work.
That's a good way to look at it, and I like that because I don't want just solid romance. I think
Yeah.
you did a beautiful job with this book and making a perfect balance between watching that relationship unfold and also having all this incredible magic and backstory and world building. I think that you got the balance just right. So I'm a big, much more of a fan of romancing now that it's going into that more balance because I like to have a lot of fantasy component, and then
Yeah.
I'm a big mush. I like the romance part too.
And I will say that this book is relatively clean.
It is.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
right. We need to tell people that it's
yeah.
not there's a rating scale with closed door to open door, and I would say you're on the lower end of that scale. It's very romantic, but there's not anything terribly graphic about it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it does see, and that's because that was my very first book I wrote as a romantasy writer, and I didn't know if I would like to write those scenes,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Are,
tried it out, and like all my other books do have it in there,
okay, so
just not with
you're gonna expand a little bit into that.
it.
I think people will be happy about that.
There
That's
is actually, at the end of the book, there is a way to get a bonus chapter that is the scene between Calden and Ari, because I wasn't sure again that if I wanted to do that. So they can
okay.
get that scene if they want that.
Okay. Before we close out today, I wanted to talk with you about what you this incredible thing that you've developed called Romantasy Adventure, which you can access or find out about by going to Shanna's website. Tell us a little bit about that. It looks intriguing.
Yes, and I'm just now getting some of the feedback in because I sold that as part of my Kickstarter. It was not the Kickstarter itself; it was just something separate someone could buy, and quite a few people bought the experience. But it was basically over 6 months they received packets through the mail with chapters
Wow.
or a story, and they could choose one of 4 characters to follow through the story. And it is a romantasy, but also a mystery because there's a student who goes missing at an academy. It's set in the same world, but in a different location. And it's a lot more fae, a lot more magic there. And yeah, so that you can choose one of 4 characters to go through, and then you also get artifacts and artwork, and then you also get like hints to go online, and there's online chapters and
Oh,
videos,
wonderful.
and so it's a kind of a bit interactive. Now, the one that went through, the people who just went through, I also had like games and puzzles. So like if they complete the games and puzzles, they get more of the story. But I found that one of my people really loved that, but most of the others, like, I would rather just read the story.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
taking all the games and puzzles out. I might add that later for like if someone wanted that, they could buy
Yeah.
that experience.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to be selling is just the packets through the mail. So you get 2 packets a month for 6 months with
Wow.
chapters and artwork and artifacts, and you will go online, and because there are some parts where you go online, there's like a major argument that they have, and you get to choose which way you want to argue in the argument, and then you also get to choose your spice level because there are spicy scenes.
Okay.
You can choose more closed door or spicy or however you want.
Okay. That's incredible, Shannon. I don't know when you sleep. You've got so much going on. It sounds wonderful. I wish you success with that. And um,
And that's
we're
funny
just
too.
about
I was
up.
going
Yeah,
to say,
go ahead. Go
oh,
ahead.
so sorry. The I don't know when this is going to be airing, but I'm
Yeah.
launching it at the end of this month, the Romantasy Adventures, and it's going to start off with a promotional giveaway where you can do a scavenger hunt to get one free entry, or you can pay $1 and get a free entry, or get an entry into it, and it's a raffle basically, or not a raffle, it's
Okay.
random, and so one person will be able to get the experience for free, basically.
Okay.
So
All right. It will be up before, it'll be up within a couple of days, and
I
I
said,
will be sending out to my newsletter before the end of the month. So hopefully that will, they'll watch and know what's going on. I will post Shannon's information below the video here in the box, so you can click on a link to her webpage, and I'll put up any other information that I think is appropriate. Um, what a great conversation, Shannon. I'm so glad we got to do this today. Thank you so much.
thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, great. And if you like what we're doing, hit the like button and also follow the channel. I try to do an interview a month. Sometimes it's not quite that often, but we are here to support small press and independent fantasy authors. So we have a lot of interesting guests across the genre. Shannon, thanks again. It was a pleasure. And I wish you luck. And I look forward to hearing about how that romancy adventure goes.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.